Hey, wait a minute.
I don't want any trouble.
What are you doing there?
I just want your pants!
So it wasn't long ago I made a whole video about why I didn't like the cultural hit Space Jam. I know a lot of people had nostalgia for it, but that only made the film marginally more enjoyable, if at all. Otherwise, it's nothing I'd write home about. That is unless we're talking about its underdog semi-sequel, Looney Tunes Back in Action. The movie I watched a million times more as a child, and even nowadays I've found reasons to appreciate. And it's been about 2 years since my last Brendan Fraser movie review, and it's about time we get things organized again. But before I get into that, I'll give you the basic gist. So Bugs and Daffy are big movie stars, and since Hollywood is trying to be more innovative, they fired Daffy for not being funny enough, which leaves him crashing at the house of Brendan Fraser's character, DJ, who was also recently let go from Warner Brothers. But DJ's father, played by Timothy Dalton, is kidnapped by Acme Corporation in order to find an artifact called the Blue Monkey, which the villain, played by Steve Martin, plans to use to turn humanity into monkeys and have him take control of the world. Whilst the vice president of Warner Brothers, played by Jenna Elfman, and Bugs Bunny intertwine with them and join them on their journey in this action comedy. Pretty ludicrous movie plot, is it not? Well, I mean, after Michael Jordan playing basketball with the Looney Tunes against alien invaders, the sky's the limit at this point. However, this film seems to be more self-aware whilst staying true to the Looney Tunes characters, but it also raises questions as to what type of universe this takes place in. In Space Jam, the Looney Tunes world was at the center of the Earth for some reason, so they basically live in hell. As did anyone who made that movie. But in this one, Bugs and Daffy are big shot movie stars, whilst other Looney Tunes are living and traveling around the globe, so either they all made home on the surface level, or the movie takes place in a world similar to Roger Rabbit, where Toons and humans live amongst each other. This could be seen as that similarity, or maybe the writers wanted to put Space Jam behind you and acknowledge this as the real Looney Tunes blockbuster. In fact, one or two jokes put hints at that.
Let's do some drills.
This doesn't make a lick of sense.
If that isn't the most apologetic thing in a blockbuster action comedy, I don't know what is. But this movie has a lot of jokes that can seem so bizarre, yet work so well.
The trade of death doesn't kill him, then those crates of TNT will. Oh, look, there's the Pendulum of Doom. What's the Pendulum of Doom doing there? I did not order the Pendulum of Doom. It's overkill.
Kate did Lethal Weapon babies. Finally, a lethal weapon that I can take my grandchildren to.
Don't lie to me and tell me you wouldn't want to see Lethal Weapon babies. That is, of course, unless it's a Baby Geniuses sequel. We've had enough of those. Even having jokes making fun of movie tropes like commercialism within the movie, so much so that they have a Walmart in the middle of the desert.
Nice of Walmart to provide these Walmart beverages in return for us saying Walmart so many times.
But there are quite a few things that don't work, including part of the climax being a battle with a giant robot dog, which doesn't belong in the movie at all. This movie came out in 2003, but looking back 16 years later, some of these jokes have aged like fine wine.
It's a pain in the butt being politically correct.
You're telling me.
One of the many things this movie did better than Space Jam was stay true to its Looney Tunes characters. In Space Jam, Bugs and Daffy seem too close together in personality, which in the original cartoons, they are far from that. This film, however, gets it down to a T. Bugs may use Daffy as the butt of his jokes, but only when he needed to straighten them out, but also being his right-hand man and pal, whilst Daffy is constantly being selfish to the point where it bites him in the tail, or when opportunity for greed comes a-knockin', he again gets carried away until it bites him in the tail.
I want my diamond! Where is my humongous rock?
It's a formula, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Hey guys, this is just a little quick note from the future, but I'm in the middle of editing, and the scene you just saw where Daffy gets crushed by the rock, I noticed something in the actual final cut of the movie that you would not see unless you really slowed it down or watched it frame by frame. Now, notice this little error here when Brendan Fraser's grabbing Daffy from touching the diamond. All right, keep watching. Almost there. Oh, what's that? Oh, go a little forward. Oh, look at that. Back. Forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. See, they actually, either this is a completely different, oh my god, like they actually forgot to, for just like one or two small frames, they forgot to animate Daffy in. Wow. Just wow. And much like my own personal opinion on the two characters, Bugs Bunny is definitely funny with how smug and witty he can be, but Daffy's temper and ego tops that by a lot.
Sell all my Warner Brothers stock. I got an inside tip that Bugs Bunny's about to die.
but also because Bugs is given most of the lamer gags in the film, which makes Daffy a lot better. But what separates this film from Space Jam is the use of blending two-dimensional animated characters in a live-action three-dimensional world, whereas Space Jam mainly consisted of having one or two three-dimensional characters integrated in a two-dimensional animated world. Nowadays, it takes no effort to put someone in front of a green screen and give the illusion that they're actually in the fictional world, and there was quite a movement of that in the mid to late 90s, and Space Jam took advantage of that. However, it's very uncommon to do the Roger Rabbit effect with cartoon characters in a live-action world, but Looney Tunes Back in Action takes it and basically knocks it right out of the park. Is it as good as Roger Rabbit? In some sequences, no, but it's still impressive nonetheless. However, its main downfall is that the live-action actors besides the Looney Tunes aren't as good interacting with them, or more so pretending as if they're actually there. Sometimes they're just left with a blank stare as if they're looking out into space and not paying attention until the voice actor off camera is done speaking their lines.
Now that's an interesting feature.
My name is Ed!
Sometimes the interaction between the actors and Looney Tunes happens so little that the animators really try to integrate them by doing background gags, and it seems really forced. Because if the attention of the tunes is lost for more than a few seconds, I guess the kids watching will lose focus and are forced to watch the secret agent plot, which is very generic, but it's meant to be, so the writers can poke fun at the genre, much like Austin Powers. Which would probably explain why Steve Martin is portraying an over-exaggerated impersonation of Mike Myers.
And we must locate the diamond and use its powers for our own diabolical ends.
But you can at least tell he's having fun with it, even more so than our two leads. Brendan Fraser is basically playing the same character as Rick O'Connell from The Mummy, with a few quirks sprinkled in there, but may even be a better portrayal of the character than the third Mummy movie, even though this is more of a comedy than an action film. And yes, audience who never asked, I am wearing my new Brendan Fraser t-shirt in anticipation for this review. So Brendan, what do you think of it? Ah, what a guy. Thank you for Doom Patrol, please do more. As for Jenna Elfman, well, she's trying, but she doesn't really sell me in this performance. She's not trying to be a damsel, not an action hero, not a buddy in a buddy flick, just a pretty face and another actor for Fraser to talk to. And the movie even makes fun of that in the deleted scenes.
So Dad, this is Kate. We haven't kissed yet or anything. We don't really get along, and we have virtually nothing in common.
I think this could be the one.
Well, that was sickening.
If they actually kept that scene in, well as other scenes that hint that their non-existent relationship, it would have added so much more to the character dynamics and humor, but sadly just used as a throwaway gag. Speaking of which, this movie has a smorgasbord of celebrity cameos thrown in, and my personal favorite was an appearance by Matthew Lillard while he talks to Shaggy and Scooby at a Hollywood restaurant.
I'm sorry you feel the way. I was trying to be real to your character.
If you like goof on me in the sequel, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, eventually.
I'm buff.
But after 16 years, how does Looney Tunes Back in Action hold up? To be fair, surprisingly well. I have no shame in saying that this is a vastly superior film to Space Jam, while that film serves more as a product of the 90s nostalgia and nothing else. This one services as a better paced film, a better comedy, better adaptation of the Looney Tunes, and overall, a good movie. I'm going as far as to say that it's vastly underrated. The movie has a few hiccups, but I don't think there's a single element of it that I would label as bad, whereas Space Jam was just coated with that label. But in this, good family movie, good Looney Tunes movie, good Brendan Fraser movie, you know, just a good movie. And I'm giving this one a solid 7 out of 10. So check it out and see for yourself.
Where is my humongous frog?